Thank you. Thank you so much. It is an honor to be here with each one of you. And thank you, LCV, for always thinking of me, of having these conversations. Thank you, Bridget. So let me just say a little bit about myself. As you mentioned, my name is Elizabeth Guzman, and I proudly represent the 31st District in the House of Delegates, which includes parts of Prince William and Fauquier County. And I'll be remiss if I don't mention that Black Lives Matter and that Breonna Taylor deserve justice. And I want to set the tone of this conversation because it's important, right? The more that we talk about, I think it is in my view that the sooner we can acquire justice. For those who don't know me, I'm a social worker, a public administrator, a Latina, an immigrant, a union sister, a mother to 4 children, but most importantly, I'm a fighter. And I'm a fighter for the working class, I'm a fighter for the vulnerable communities, and I'm a fighter for our environment as well. As we're having this conversation about public health, I want to share a little bit about my personal story because as a Latina and an immigrant, I have a very personal insight into some of the challenges surrounding environmental justice. I'm originally from Peru. I came to this country as a single mother with $300 in my pocket and a little girl. I came here because my parents could not afford to send me to college. And I wanted to break that cycle so that I could one day afford to send my daughter to college. There were very few options for me in Peru. Private schools were expensive, and there was a strong communist presence at the public universities. Actually, two of my high schools classmates were recruited by the Communist Party and then killed by the Fujimori regime. So I also want to share with you that many first generation immigrants, when we get here, we don't think personally about how decisions that we make affect the environment or how the environment affects us. We come here because it's the wealthiest country in the world, because we believe in the American dream, and you trust that this country is doing the right thing and taking care of the environment, right? But later you learn we have a long way to go, that we are a country of means, but we have not the environment a priority just yet. And when you are an immigrant and you're just trying to survive one day at a time, you are just trying to afford to put some food on the table. You're not thinking about what is sustainable, what is organic. You are looking for a place to live and you have to get what's available. And even if it's a floodplain or a place with dirty air, that's happening right now here in Manassas Park in Prince William County, where more than a third of the population are immigrants. And there is a mobile park there. The homes are not safe, they are sinking, but people live there because they need a place to live. And in many of the places we come from, there is not environmental education. There are no requirements to fight pollution, for example. And if you are working three minimum wage job, as I did to afford a one-bedroom apartment, you are not looking for places to recycle. Many people in our community cannot afford to buy electric cars or even to pass the inspection with the cars we do have. We cannot even afford to go to Whole Foods and get that organic food. There is an acculturation process, and we need to remember in the fight for environmental justice that we have to meet people where they are, and it should not be a luxury for people to live green and do their part to help our environment. Wind and solar are cheaper than gas and coal, so there is no reason people's energy bills should go up as we transition to a green energy economy. That's why I strongly believe that we should deregulate our energy market so that Dominion is not a monopoly and more companies can innovate, and Dominion will have an incentive to do things more efficiently. And it is not just immigrants, there are millions of families who are struggling to get by in Virginia. But all parents want a clean environment to their children to play in, and no family wants to get sick because of their economic status or where they live. All of those things connect. We live in a country where law enforcement and the criminal justice system is not working for people of color. Schools aren't working for communities of color. Affordable housing isn't working for communities of color. And the economy isn't working for communities of color. So we need to include people of color in our fight against climate change. Or our planet isn't going to work for people of color either. No. So I was asked also to talk about a little bit about my legislative accomplishments. I wanted you to know that I'm currently serving in the Rappahannock River Basin Commission as the chair of the Upper Basin. I'm also serving in the Commerce and Labor Committee, where all of the environmental policy conversations happen. And I'm also the co-founder of the Virginia Green New Deal Coalition. And during my tenure in the legislature, I have earned A plus ratings from the Sierra Club, from LCV. Thank you. The Sierra Club gave me an award last year as one of their champions for my bill to that took up the conversation of plastic ban back again, and the bill would have either banned or bags or allow localities to tax them, as well as polystyrene products. I actually was inspired to run that bill by my son Carlos when he was 11, who joined the campaign to save the turtles. And he personally asked me to carry that legislation. And this is how our conversations, and the more we talk about it, we can we can impact future generations. That's why I'm excited to talk about the environment. And this year, I got the Legislative Leader Award from the League of Conservation Voters for three legislations that I was able to fight and pass successfully. One is to protect water from PFOS or PFAS, and for starting the conversation to declare a climate emergency in this country. Virginia could have been the pioneer to state publicly that we are living in a climate crisis and that we needed to act today to protect the future of our children. You guys also recognize my bill, House Bill 585, asking local governments to do their part by including in their comprehensive plan conversations about public transportation, conversation affordable housing, as we recognize that those are extremely important in our fight to protect the environment. I'm a champion of Clean Virginia as well, an organization who is supporting elected officials who are willing to hold corporate polluters accountable. And I also serve in national roles. I'm a member of the National Hispanic Caucus of state legislators, where I've been working with the group called Green Latinos and CHISPA, another chapter under LCV at the national level. And I was able to pass a couple of resolutions with unanimous support. One was to enhance the federal electric vehicle tax credit. We wanted to expand those incentives, and we also wanted to invest more in electric vehicles as we ensure transition occurs in a timely manner. And I also passed the Equitable and Just Policies Resolution, also known as the Green New Deal, which will address climate change. And we asked the federal government to build a broader coalition with the intent on elevating issues at the intersection of economic, social, and environmental justice, as they are closely related to address climate change. I mean, there are more legislations that I've been working, during the past 3 years. I think the doctor mentioned quite a few of them. I'll just put up the coal ash cleanup. I think that was a victory for 2019, which was extremely important. And I was happy to partner also with LCV to take this conversation. We realized, in 2017, when we ran for office, we were wondering here in Prince William County, where we have a project called Possum Point, and they are around, they have an energy plant. And Dominion was contaminating the water and their air, and none of the legislators were doing anything. So in 2017, we decided that we were not receiving contributions from Dominion, that the reason why legislators were inactive was because they were, receiving more than $30,000 in campaign contributions. And we said, no, that's not going to be the norm. Actually, we are not going to take your money. And guess what? You're going to have to discuss with us at the table to improve this policy. And, and there are more bills, that are affecting also the transitions of there, at least in my district in Fauquier County, we are seeing that rural areas like Fauquier County are becoming more urban day by day. So I ran another legislation that will require the DEQ to form a work group and to look at the issues of disposals of debris on rural lands to provide policy solution to the legislator. And I think there's more that I can go on. We talk about the Virginia Clean Energy Act. It was talked about, but thank you so much for your continued support. And I would like to conclude just by mentioning that I'm exploring a run to become your next lieutenant governor, because I see that job as a promotion for a progressive legislator. someone who has been effective in passing legislation and building coalitions to protect the environment, and someone who is unapologetic to discuss issues that many times candidates and elected officials are afraid to speak about. I think that we need an advocate who has a proven leadership record to deliver on the premises that we made to you. And while we are running for office, and someone who sees environmental justice as a priority and a core issue of a statewide campaign. So I hope I could count on your support. And with now, I would like to conclude by acknowledging the victory, the huge victory against Atlantic Coast Pipelines. And it's something that you need to be recognized. Thank you for all your advocacy and for your fight and for believing in that it was possible. Thank you.